I met a gypsy.
What was the hardest physical challenge that because you got hurt, didn't you?
Yeah.
Or did you get hurt before you went on the show, or something happened?
No, I got hurt. Yeah, no, in the show, like I didn't know at the time, but when I finished the show and I thought I had a really sore back and it wasn't healing. So I went and got a scan and I had 5 cracked ribs. So I was like, well, that's why my back hurts. And I broke my finger. So yeah, I got pretty smashed on the show. In terms of the hardest thing, towards the end, so it was like the second last day, we had to basically go through a swamp tethered to each other. So like we had a rope between us and there was 5 of us left. And the person that fell, basically they'd be out. That would be their last chance. So you had to run through like knee-deep swampland for, I think we were running for an hour, holding a 20 kilo package that we had to get to a certain sort of drop point. And running itself is hard. Like it's hard running in a swamp. That's really hard. But then the fact that you were tethered to everyone else and you had the pressure of not being able to, like you couldn't fall or like drop behind because that was it, you were gone. And that was probably the closest I came to like thinking that I'm done. Like I actually don't think I can do it anymore because it was just so physically, like we were vomiting at the end. Like it was,
really?
Yeah, it was just so physically at the end of like, yeah, pushing my body to the, you know, as far as it could possibly go.
Yeah, it's crazy experience.
Yeah.
It's super intriguing to go through that and to know that it's gonna be public. I remember seeing some images come from, maybe like you post them and it's like you got snot coming out your nose and it's like you just look like shit.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, makes sense. This is fucking real.
Yeah, and it is funny like to have those first couple of days and you kind of think, oh God, what do we look like? But then towards the end, that is so far from your mind. Like you're so deep into what you're doing and focused on what you need to do. Like the looks thing is like gone, like literally gone. And then, you know, obviously watching it back, I'm like, oh God. And you can see us change. Like you can see from day one to like the last day, like just how haggard we are and like the bags under our eyes and like we all lost weight and yeah, it's pretty funny to see it.
Was the camaraderie, I'm sure there's people that you're really close with now as a result of going through it.
Yeah, and it's so weird. And I used to think like, you know, people who were in reality TV shows and they come out like, oh, we're best friends. And I'm like, how? You've known each other for 2 minutes. But like, it's so weird. It's such a different experience because it's so intense. You know, you're living with these people 24 hours a day, sleeping next to each other. And like you form such a tight bond, like so quickly. It's really, really strange. And we were a really, really tight group. Like we were all very supportive of each other. And we've got like a group WhatsApp that we still like, you know, keep in touch. And that's been really cool as well. Like having those friendships.
Well, I think that's probably something we didn't mention when we were talking about the sporting side of things. I know for me, in 5 years, I got some of the boys that I train with, they're like, they're my boys. And it's a relationship that I've got with them that's the same as people that I've been friends with for 10, 15 years. Because you're doing something together that's so hard. I know how hard it is for me to show up to jiu-jitsu every night. And then when you've got a guy that's there, that's coaching and he's done it for 10 years and he's 28 with a black belt. And it's just a fucking animal. The respect that you've got for that person and the fact that you can go to war with each other. You know, we're sparring 100%, you know, fucking each other up. And then the respect that you can have for each other after. There's these weird circumstances when you're doing a sport that's quite challenging that can create these crazy bonds with people. And you'd feel it the same when you were training for the Ironman. And I think that's another thing that people probably don't think about when they just give up sport at the end of school and then you do your 20s or whatever, and you that completely goes out the window. You might go to the gym because you want to look hot for chicks or whatever, but in terms of like doing a sport, being in a club, having people that rely on you, relying on other people, it can just form these crazy relationships and I think a lot of people are kind of starved of those relationships in their adult life. And
I think it is a weird thing, like making friends when you're older. It's such a weird, it's so strange. But yeah, I agree with you. You know, from the running group that we're in and from doing the triathlon stuff, like we have formed like these really amazing bonds with these people and you know, lifelong friendships. And it's such a strange thing as an adult to like have a new person come into your life that you feel like
you can really trust.
And like you've known them forever type thing. But I suppose that, like you said, it's the beauty of being in an environment like that, and you want to be in that environment. Like you're choosing as an adult to do this. You know, maybe as a kid, you're like, your mum said you got to do swimming, so you're doing swimming or whatever it is. But yeah, I think that's such a cool thing. And I'm like you, I hope and wish that more people had that experience and had something that they felt really passionately about, and whether that be jiu-jitsu, running, cycling, you know, motocross, like whatever that may be, like something that you really love, that you say, I'm going to give myself an hour a week, or I'm going to give myself 4 hours a week, or whatever it is, to have that, because that makes me a better person. Yeah,
and I think that learning how to learn is massive as well. I mean, I'm a nerd. Like, I'm a very nerdy person. So to me, I guess that hasn't been a problem in my life. But it's one of the things that I see in either people now that start jiu-jitsu that are coming in, and I'm like working with them as someone that's been there for a lot longer. I'm like, man, you got to understand, you don't know how to learn because you left school fucking 20 years ago and you're just randomly doing this thing. Like you learn in your everyday life, but it's in a way slower and less focused way. Whereas I think when you're doing a triathlon or like jiu-jitsu, it's very intense. You can really learn how to do this new skill. You're trying to develop this new thing. Yeah. And then you don't know what you don't know. So how do you get this information from a place of not knowing anything about it? You've got to learn how to learn about the thing. And I think that fully carries over into your life when you have a challenge at work, or, you know, whatever it is, relationships wise. I find myself always dipping back into the well of things that I've learned in these kind of disciplines. Yeah.
I mean, it's all just life experience, isn't it? Like giving yourself these different opportunities to grow from, and hopefully it's always for the better. Sometimes maybe it's not, and then you've got to redirect and do something else. Yeah, but I get people all the time message me being, oh man, you got such a great group of friends. I wish I had what you had with your mates, because people, I guess, see what we're doing, and I'm just like, man, do shit. Go do a sport. Go join a club. Yeah. If you be a part of something where, if you like motocross, go and join the local club, and, you know, be on the committee. There's going to be 1 or 2 people there that just fully get you because they've taken time out of their life to go do the same thing as you. There's this common ground that you've got, and, you know, a lot of people do struggle to find friends as they get older. And, you know, I even say to my mum moved down from Brizzy, and she's like, oh, I just don't have the friends. I'm like, go to join a yoga group, you know, or do Pilates every single week. You're gonna find people that have that common interest, and it creates that relationship so quickly. Yeah, no, I agree. When you watched the show and when it come out, what was the experience like of, I guess, seeing it and then having new people that haven't seen you before? Was it a crazy experience to be like a reality show person? Yeah, definitely. It was, I suppose, for me, because I was in the first few episodes of the show, I was very quiet, so you didn't really see me much. And then all of a sudden, it's kind of like I was like, oh, she's arrived and now she's part of the show. But as it was unfolding, it is a weird experience to be like, okay, that's me on that show, and I did that, and then watching it real time, you know, like the fans are watching it as I'm watching it type thing, and then have people message you, and you know, and for the most part, it was all really positive stuff. It was all really nice, you know, like congratulations, and like, you know, you did so well, and all that sort of stuff. So I was in a, you know, it was in a good place. Like there was a few other people that didn't get, I suppose, like they didn't come across as they may have liked or maybe should have. So then like you have a totally different experience, and you don't really know what that's going to be like until because that's kind of the weird thing is that you go do this thing and you don't know how you're going to be perceived because it's still a TV show. I mean, as real as it can be, they still have to edit like where they're filming 24 hours a day. They've still got to stick that into like an hour, you know, so there still has to be some sort of edit process, and for TV to be successful, you always need to have kind of you've kind of got to have a bit of a villain and a bit of a good guy, and like, you know, all that sort of stuff. So and you don't really know how you're gonna be, you know, portrayed or what you're going to look like, you know, from an outsider's point of view, and you're so in it and you're not thinking about like, oh God, if I said that, you know, maybe people, you know, you're not thinking like that. So it still was a bit like, okay, God, what are we going to see tonight type thing. And then the episode would finish. I'm like, okay, that wasn't too bad.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
And then like, I'd be like, oh God, I remember this day. Like I was, you know, I had the shits on, or I was like, you know, angry with someone. And then you sort of watch the episode and you're thinking, oh God, like what's going to happen now? And, you know, that's sort of how it kind of went on for the couple of weeks. But yeah, I mean, I was pretty lucky. I felt like what was shown of me was true to my character and true to myself, and I didn't feel like at any point I was, you know, portrayed differently than what I would normally be in a everyday situation. So I came out of the show being very grateful that what people saw was genuinely what happened and was genuinely me.
Yeah, because it can definitely go the other way.
Yeah.
so easily.
Yeah, exactly. But I think anyone who's going onto a reality TV show these days, you have to be pretty silly and pretty naive to think that, you know, it could be any different. Like I think in this day and age, we all know, we all have social media, like everyone understands that a reality TV show is very much a drama. You know, it's like heightened drama of whatever has happened, and it can be skewed in any way, and you have to be prepared for that to be good or really bad.
If you enjoyed this content, please like and subscribe. And to listen to the full 3-hour podcast, search Gypsy Tales in your favorite podcast platform or click the link in the description below. Gypsy Gang.